Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's a good Friday, folks. You made it to Friday, and guess what? It's Friday Night Lights. Good luck to the high school teams that are kicking off. A lot of games are canceled due to COVID, but the ones that are playing, go out and enjoy it while you can because it goes way too damn fast. So I love me some Friday Night Lights. I will probably be watching some games somewhere locally tonight. There's nothing better than the lights, JC, and the band.
Yes, the band going off.
I love it.
It is, man. It's that time. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. It's that time of year that really gets your blood moving if you're like us. And I agree with you. You know, both of us have had the opportunity to watch our kids play at Gainesville High School, and throughout the years, it always seemed like during the week, you know, you'd have the practice. But then when Thursday hit and Friday hit, your whole world just gets opened up and you get excited because your blood starts moving knowing that there's a game on Friday night to go watch your kid play or his school play. And then on Saturday, it starts with college. And then on Sunday, it keeps going with pros. And then we have Monday night football, Sunday night football. And then during the week, it's Thursday night before the high school game. And you know what I'm talking about. It's the best 3 months during the year. Maybe, and in some cases, it's more than 3 months. But for high school, it's a good three and a half months of just fun and games. And you're right. Atmosphere means so much in high school football.
Yep. And we, before we let you go at the end of the segment, JC, we're going to do our Peachland Dentistry football picks, folks.
We've got
5 games this weekend. And we're going to pick all 5, and we're going to keep stats. We're going to have somebody actually keep good stats
all right,
this year.
We'll keep stats.
Gene says,
we had a
Gene says on Facebook Live. Hang on. Gene says on Facebook Live.
All right.
Brought to you by Melton Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. And for some reason, I'm trying to look at JC here, but maybe it's his awful internet service. He is like just frozen reading his little phone. Anyway, Gene says, thanks for the Army shirt today, JC. Go Buchholz Bobcats. Gene, the Bobcats are not playing tonight.
Well,
now JC is back in action.
All right. I'm sorry about that. The Wi-Fi had to be applied. I had to turn off the phone. Yeah, thanks, Gene. Love the black and gold for Buchholz. We're alumni, of course. And, you can't help but think of I couldn't help but think yesterday of these casualties we suffered yesterday in the Middle East. And it just makes me sick. But we want to represent the armed forces, and certainly black and gold. Got my Saints hat going today. They're going to be worried about a hurricane next week up in New Orleans. That's looking like it's going to hit dead into New Orleans. So I don't know, man. It's there are some other things going on, but we want to focus, on what's on hand here as we get ready for football season. And yesterday or tomorrow, actually, QB, that Big Ten game with Illinois and Nebraska may not move the needle for most of us down here, but it is a conference game, and you've got 2 teams who have struggled for so long, and I'm going to watch it. I'm excited about watching Illinois and Nebraska, and I noticed that Illinois is a team that has something like over 40 seniors on their roster. That's so strange to me because you never see a school, I think, with that many seniors, and I guess it just means that they didn't have many players to opt into the NFL throughout their careers, but they are on the roster at Illinois, and that is a very senior-laden team. They have something like 44 returning lettermen on that roster.
They stink. That doesn't tell you a whole. I mean,
I know.
I've said this many times.
I know.
One of these teams, I think it was Tennessee a few years ago. They have 19 starters coming back. Well, they only won like 4 games. Who gives a damn how many starters are coming back? It doesn't mean they're very good. So, we'll see. I think Brett Bielema's a pretty good coach, but
he is.
That is a very interesting game.
It is an interesting game. I mean, if you're a football junkie and this is what you love, and you look at all these games, watching some of these games that have teams playing that that you don't necessarily follow, it's still something I like to do, man. I want to see if Nebraska can score points. I want to see if Scott Frost can get off the hot seat. He's on it right now. So there are storylines behind this game tomorrow. And, during the year, we're not going to really pay much attention to what Nebraska and Illinois do. But, hey, it's the biggest game going tomorrow between two teams in the same conference and in the same division of the same conference. So it's a big game, man. It's a big game for folks in Nebraska, folks in Illinois and the Midwest. So I'll be watching. I'm going to watch it, and we'll see how it turns out. But we'll pick it later. I've got some futures. Go ahead. Sorry.
Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. This August, mention promo code Shane or see 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with JC right now on the Titan More Hotline, second part of today's show, we'll be joined by one of the hosts for the Jaguar Network, JP Shadrick. We're going to talk about JC's Super Bowl team, the Jaguars. Real quick, JC, I got to ask you, I can't tell you how many people have texted me in the last day and a half about a comment that I made that has stirred up the Big Blue Nation. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's all over freaking Twitter. So
really,
I did a roundtable Gator discussion at Spurrier's Restaurant 2 weeks ago, maybe, or last week, I can't remember, with Dan Hicken, Dooley, Coach, and myself.
Cool.
And we're talking about the upcoming season and talking about the SEC, obviously. Coach predicted Alabama would lose to Florida. Mm-hmm. And I don't know I can't remember what Dan asked me, but I said something along the lines, Kentucky seems like they get all this love in the preseason from the SEC media days, whatever. And basically I said, we've struggled against Kentucky the last few years, which we have. And I said, I'm not concerned about Kentucky being relevant until they can complete a forward pass. And they really haven't completed many forward passes since freaking the coach.
And that got them fired up for some reason.
Oh yeah, I mean they're blowing me up. Do I care? No, because it's a true statement. Right. I mean they're one of the worst passing football teams I've ever seen. Right,
and let's remember, folks, they still
went 5-6 last year. Of course, some of the people that send me the tweets and stuff, it's Kentucky people showing a pass completion by Kentucky. Well, I mean. They don't understand the concept of what I'm talking about.
So let me, sure. So let me ask you this. While Coach was predicting Florida to beat Alabama, did you join on board that?
No, I'm not on board with that at all. I think, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I am picking Texas A&M to beat Alabama.
To beat
Alabama?
I'll
tell you that right now.
Yeah, a lot of folks do like that game. And listen, Alabama's got a lot of question marks, man. We don't know what they're going to bring down here, but they usually reload, and that's typically been the case. We also don't know a lot about what Florida's going to offer to the table. I don't blame them for picking Alabama to lose to Florida. I mean, it's been 13 years. It's going to happen one day, isn't it? So
Coach can't really pick against the Gators.
Of course not. But then that lends to his credibility on what his picks are, doesn't it? So, I mean, if everybody knows he's always going to pick Florida. Well, not that I think he cares, but I mean, if he's going to say something, he should mean what he says.
But you got to remember, too.
I get it.
You got to remember, too, JC.
I get it.
He still cashes a check from the UAA.
Sure. Listen, I think it's going to be a very good game. I think there's going to be tons and tons of interest. It'll be the highlight game of that day. I think I've looked on that schedule, September 18th. It's going to be huge. And, as far as Kentucky goes, dude, I'm with you on that. They get so much love. They're picked to finish third in the East, but honestly, I think after Florida and Georgia, you can just throw them all up in the sky and wherever they fall. I think Missouri's going to be tougher. I actually think, and here we go again, I'm not falling into the trap this time, but I do think Tennessee will be better because I think Josh Heupel knows how to score points. They're going to be better.
You thought that about Scott Frost too, did you not?
Well, I thought that Nebraska had a long way to go, and obviously so does Tennessee, but I don't think these coaches go into a job if they feel like they've got a 4, 5, 6 year reclamation project, and maybe they just don't know any better. Maybe they don't know what that roster, how bad it is, and how hard it is to recruit there. But I think Tennessee's going to have an easier time coming back quicker than Nebraska.
Hang on a second. Back up. You are a financial advisor. Okay.
Sure.
You love money. Josh Heupel don't give a damn who's on that roster at Tennessee.
Yeah.
You compare what he's making in Orlando and what he's making in Knoxville. He doesn't care if he's got a JV squad out there.
Yeah, but come on, Shane. Coach is coach, right? Coaches go up there and try to.
But I'm saying they're not looking at the roster before they take a job.
Well, and I think that Tennessee's may have a few more opportunities than maybe a Nebraska's would. I mean, all you have to do is just look at the just look at where they're at. Really, Nebraska's been so irrelevant, but so is Tennessee. So I'm not ready to jump on the bandwagon yet, but I think Missouri could give Kentucky some trouble, and Tennessee, Kentucky, to me, I don't know. Maybe they're not the same team, but they feel like they are. So we'll see. Florida, has had Kentucky's number. We all know how badly that series has gone for Kentucky. We've been
fortunate to win the last couple of years.
I get it. Absolutely, they have. I mean, Florida won 29-21 in a game in 2019 that was a lot closer than that score. That late touchdown is what made it an 8-point game. Covered the spread, incidentally, and then of course Florida blew them out last year, 34-10.
But the previous year, one of McElwain's years, we had no business beating Kentucky because they didn't cover two receivers.
Well, but in 2018, they did have Florida. They spanked Florida. But then again, that was the first win in 30 some odd years. So I don't know. Big Blue Nation can throw their arms up in the air, but win some games before you start complaining about anybody talking about your team. That's just the way I would see it. What did Dan Hicken think about that? About all those picks? Because I used to know Big Dan up there in the TV world up in Jacksonville. What was his big pick? Did he have one?
Well, nobody know. We weren't picking games. Coach just came out.
I mean, but did he say anything interesting though? Kind of like what Coach did.
I don't think so. He was running the whole interview, and it actually you'll see it today on Twitter, JC. It's coming out, so you can watch it while you're not doing anything.
Okay, all right, thank you. I will look forward to that.
Lynn says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. The only decent thing to come out of Kentucky and Tennessee is whiskey and moonshine.
Bad bourbon, yeah, absolutely. Rye, I like the rye. I like the Kentucky rye. Yeah, that's good stuff. Well, QB, I was sitting at lunch the other day, and we love college football, but of course, a week after it starts, we get the first weekend in the NFL. I've got some future bets. I want you to tell me if I'm going to hit or not. Can I go through those real quick? Do you care if I do those? Because I want to know what you think of. I've got some total futures bets in the NFL that I have that I bet with my guy in Tampa, who is a wholesaler for one of our annuity companies, and he and I sat at lunch the other day, and I went over. We did 7 teams each, and decided. Well, we did 7. Here's what I got. Let me just try and say it that way, if I can talk here at 8:00 in the morning. I've got the New Orleans Saints winning more than 10 games. Do you like that pick? Remember, they play 17 games this year. Do you think the Saints can win more than 10? Okay.
Yes.
All right. I've got the Vegas Raiders winning over 8 games. Do you think that can happen? Tough division, Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders over 8. What do you think of that?
I mean, they don't have to. Yeah, I think they can go over that.
Chargers under 9.5. This is a team that won something like 6 games last year. Chargers under 9.5. You like that?
I mean, I could see them winning 10 games. I could see them going 10-7.
How about you love that? You don't think I'm going to win this one. So you got me at 2-1 right now. So Browns under 10.5.
Oh no, I think the Browns win at least 12 games.
Do you think the Browns win the division with 12 wins?
I think the Browns will win that. I don't know how many wins. I think it'll be over 10 or whatever you said, but they're going to win that division.
Well, I got 10.5. So they have to win 11. They have to win 11 for me to lose that.
They will.
Okay. Steelers over 8.5 in the same division. Big Ben, Steelers. Chase Claypool. Juju Smith-Schuster. Chase Claypool.
They can go 9. They can go 9-8.
Okay, so you like that one then. Bears over 8. Bears. Got Andy Dalton.
They played Detroit twice, so I think Detroit and the Jags may be the 2 worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, they all sound like they all seem very easy.
Okay, so far you like them. Okay, well, hey, this is what it is. Run on down to Biloxi and go get some money in your pocket. Dolphins over 9. Dolphins. Miami Dolphins with the
I think they're going to win fewer games than 9.
So you don't like that one. So you've got me at 5-2. All right. Okay. All right. That would be good for me. That would be good for me. I don't know. I think the Dolphins, I think the Jets, I think the Patriots, I think the Bills, that's going to be a much better division than it's been in the last, 25 years. I like 3 and 4 of those teams. I think the Jets will be better, as you have said, with their quarterback situation, their new coach, and better players maybe on the field. Dolphins, I think, will be tough to beat. I think the Patriots will be improved. Don't sleep on the Patriots, man. And then, of course, Buffalo will score points all day long. And so Buffalo looks to be the favorite. But that's a tough division, man. That's going to be a tough division, I think.
Yeah, it is. I still think Mac Jones will be named their starter.
Mac Jones. What do you know about that? Wow.
I don't know anything. I just think he's the better quarterback.
Let's talk
about this day in sports. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind. Our promise. Comfort Temp is now hiring team members with all levels of experience. Great culture and benefits and opportunity for growth. $1,000 signing bonus for qualified positions. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. This day in sports.
All right.
2017. JC, I know you watched this. Former world boxing champion Floyd Mayweather Jr. Defeats Conor McGregor in a 10-round match in Las Vegas. Wasn't that one of those pay-per-view deals?
Yeah, it was. They both cashed millions and millions of dollars. And actually, it was better than watching some of Floyd's boxing matches that he would dance around and just poke, jab, jab, jab. And then for an hour, you wonder why you spent money watching this guy dance around, because you can't hit him. He's too quick, right? And he can't hit you either because he's not strong. So, but he wins.
He's not strong.
He gets these. I mean, he doesn't knock anybody out. How many people is he knocked
supposed to be the greatest fighter of all time, right?
Well, that's what he says. But how many knockouts does he have? I mean, you look at it and you say, wow, I just spent an hour and a half of my life watching this garbage. But I did watch Conor, and I thought that was a little bit more interesting. I do remember that, though, and it was intriguing. And Conor McGregor, I thought, showed up and made a good – his performance was much better than I think people thought, because he's not a boxer. He's an MMA guy, and Floyd didn't knock him out. And he got a few shots into Floyd. I think they really cashed in, though. That was a big moneymaker for those two guys for some reason.
All right, JC, you ready to get to the Peachland Dentistry college football picks?
Let's see what we can do here. All right,
so we're going to have the Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com and join us today and every Friday. Now that golf is winding down, we'll be doing our Peachland Dentistry college football picks. All right, so we're going to crank up. Now, do we pick these with the spread, against the spread,
yes.
and all that crap?
Okay. No. I'm going to take Georgia to beat Vanderbilt QB.
Okay.
I mean,
because I know on another podcast I do them. We don't. So anyway,
you don't do the point spreads. What is the point of even doing that? That's like those guys. I don't really care. It's like the guys on. Well, suggest something, make it better. That's like the guys on the NFL today. I think the Lions are going to give the Steelers a good game, but give me Pittsburgh. It's like listening to Randy Moss pick the Patriots to beat the Jags. I mean, come on. All right, so you got to pick the spreads. It's mainstream now. Everybody's doing it. State of Florida will have it available in October, I believe. They've made an arrangement with the Indians, the Seminole Indian tribe. It's what everybody does. All right, so we're also going to keep track of this like we did last year when I beat you, and we're also going to pick a couple pro games when that starts too, okay? Just so we know. All right, I'm going to start it off and take Illinois at home, getting 6.5 points against the Big Red. I think both these teams are trying to figure out what they have, and give me when you're in that scenario, I'll just take points. So give me the Illini plus the 6.5, please.
Okay, well, I'm going to take Nebraska. This is a huge year for them. They have their returning quarterback. I don't know what to expect from Illinois. They've been awful for so long. You got to think Nebraska's got to have a good showing. So we'll see.
Okay. The second game would be Connecticut at Fresno State. How about the Huskies traveling across the country to Fresno, California, of all places, and getting 27.5 points? You get to pick that one first.
I'll take the Bulldogs at home, because I thought Connecticut folded their football program. I could have sworn they did like a year or two ago. I don't think they're Division I anymore is what it is. They're awful.
They are awful. I hate laying those points like that, but I think you're right. It's a mismatch, and I don't know what Fresno's got either, but they do typically have a pretty respectable little team out there. Give me them too. We'll both agree on that one. Hawaii is playing at UCLA. This is big for UCLA and Chip Kelly. He needs to have a good season, and certainly this is a kind of a tune-up game for them before LSU rolls in the following week. You did know that LSU is playing at UCLA in week one for them, but this will be UCLA's second game. A lot of folks believe that the best improvement on a team comes between the first and second week. Who knows? But UCLA will have a game under their belt, and I think that helps them. But I have no idea what either of these teams are going to look like. It's 18 points. I think it's going to be a high-scoring shootout type of game, and I'll take Hawaii plus the 18.
Well, I like Hawaii too.
All right, so we agree on that one. UTEP, El Paso at New Mexico State. You know where New Mexico State University is, QB?
Somewhere in New Mexico.
That's brilliant. It would Las Cruces.
Hang on.
New Mexico.
Yeah, say it again.
Las Cruces.
Las Cruces. Yeah.
Don't care about Cruces. Well, you won't have to. I don't even know if they'll have a football program once this reorganization in college football happens. But at any rate, they're getting 10 at home against UTEP. Flip a coin. Give me the Las Cruces with 10 at home against El Paso.
Okay, I'll take the Miners.
You take the Miners. And then our final game, QB, to wrap up a great opening weekend, is before the real opening weekend, would be Southern Utah getting 24 against San Jose State. Minus 24. That was a good little team they had at San Jose last year. So during COVID, I think they were pretty good. I'd have to look them up. But I do remember seeing their name quite a bit, winning some games. They're laying 24 points. You like them?
I mean, yeah, I'll take
sure.
San Jose State over Southern Utah.
All right, so we'll both go with that. So our only differences is that you've got UTEP laying 10 against New Mexico State, and you have Nebraska laying 6.5 against Illinois. We all agree on Fresno over Connecticut, Hawaii covering with UCLA, and San Jose. There you have it. How about those picks? What do you think of that?
I think it's going to be fun. I mean, I'm ready for some college football. Switching gears a little bit, JC, the BMW
How about
championship.
San Jose was 7-1 last year. San Jose State. Remember I told you they were 7-1. They were 7-1 last year.
I think they lost their coach though. I think he went somewhere else. Did you watch any of the golf yesterday or see any highlights?
Didn't get to watch it. Sorry, no.
I tell you what, the wet conditions. These guys are just throwing darts. I mean, they're shooting 8 under par on a supposedly tough golf course, but. Gosh, I tell you what, John Rahm, he may win Player of the Year. I don't know how many.
I told you this 2 weeks ago, QB.
But he is playing as well as anybody I've ever seen.
It's true. I mean, this guy's been amazing, and this is a guy that we're supposed to believe had COVID twice. We certainly know that he didn't know he had it when he was about to win the Memorial. They booted him out of that. That would have been a win. He was up by so many strokes before the last round. He would have won that. And then, of course, he didn't get to compete in the Olympic Games because they said he had it again. So regardless of that, he is, in my mind, definitely the Player of the Year. I think he'll win that. Your guy, Matsuyama, had a good day yesterday. He's 5 under with your picks. So, yeah, I mean, John Rahm, you haven't been paying attention if you haven't watched him. He's been really solid, one of the most consistent players out there on the tour right now. And I've watched him all year long and picked him all year long. I think he's great. So yep. I think he'll. He's got the U.S. Open under his belt too. So he's won a major. He'll be around for a long time.
We got a couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Melvin Law. John says, I heard someone say yesterday that if the AAC joined up with the Big 12, they would have a better football product than the so-called alliance.
A lot of folks have said that too, because there's good football in that team, in that conference rather. And I don't disagree with that. I think there are some teams the Big 12 could definitely benefit from. But here's the problem with that is that if they're going to do this, they have to do it soon, because there's a contract in the AAC that says if you're going to leave that conference, you have to do it with a 27-month notice, almost a 2-year notice. Now, of course, all of this can go by the wayside if the conferences decide to merge, right? But if you're a UCF or you're a Memphis or a Houston and the rest of them are different and you guys want to go to the Big 12, that you've got to basically give a 2-year notice, And, I don't know how easy that's going to be to arrange. And I also don't know what the AAC would do about it if of course, they lost a couple of their teams. Maybe all of them would go at that point. Then you're talking about a massive number of teams in one conference.
I'm trying to think. So it would probably be UCF, Cincinnati, Houston, and Memphis as the teams they're referring to.
Well, you've also got SMU and Dallas. Texas as a state by itself could field 10 teams. So if you added Houston and you added SMU, the state of Texas would have almost 7 of the 12 or 10 teams. So I don't know. But what do you do with Central Florida, South Florida, Cincinnati? I think that's the only realistic way the Big 12 could do it. I didn't think there was any news coming out of the Pac-12 in spite of the fact that they announced something about our intentions for expansion. Nothing happened, of course. It was all a lot to do about nothing. But in the AAC, if you're going to leave that conference and that conference stays intact, you've got to basically give them a 2-year notice. And that's just hard to do for something like that to happen. I don't know how realistic it is. We'll see. I think if one goes, they all have to go. And I don't know if that's even a part. And the Big 12's bylaws, QB, require departing members to give 18 months notice in addition to what the buyout fee is going to be. Now, you're convinced that Oklahoma and Texas are coming here next year. Although you just say that, you can't back that up with anything in fact, because the conference here has said, no, we're not expecting them until 2025. And the schools themselves have said, no, we're not leaving until 2025. $80 million or $76 million, even for Texas and Oklahoma, is a huge amount of money to pay. I hope you're right, because I don't want to wait that long. But I do believe that at some point they're going to have to come up with some idea to get out of there before 2025, or hope to
how did A&M get to play the very next year?
That was during the last television contract. They didn't have the buyout, I don't think. Now, the bylaws have changed since A&M left and since Missouri left. But 18 months notice in addition to a buyout fee that could be nearly $80 million is a hard price to pay if you're just going to blow out of the Big 12. The hope is for those two schools is that the Big 12 implodes before 2025, and then those contract or those rules and fees would be unenforceable. We all know that. So you've got this idea in your head that they're going to leave next year. Well, if that's the case, they're writing checks, bro. And what the Big 12 is going to do is use that money, because remember this too. You can't just expand the Big 12 and all these other these conferences like the Pac-12 just can't expand without a television contract or an idea that the next TV contract is going to be massive, because all you're doing is lowering the payout for the existing teams by adding 2 more divisors. So that payout with the current contract is going to be lower for these teams. So when next year comes and the year after that comes for the Big 10 and the Pac-12 to redo their deals, because the ACC has to wait till 2036, then we'll see probably something happen, because financially right now, it just doesn't make any sense to add teams for the Big 12 unless there's a way they can merge, because their television money would decrease. The word that Oklahoma got when they contacted the SEC, and let's be clear about this, Texas and Oklahoma came to the SEC. The SEC did not poach Texas and Oklahoma. Everybody on earth thinks that Texas and Oklahoma came to the SEC by virtue of the fact that the SEC asked them to come. No, they called the SEC because they know that television contract in the Big 12 next year is going to be one of the lower paid contracts that these networks are willing to pay, and they're losing money. Okay, so that's a problem, and that's why Oklahoma and Texas said, you know what, we're tired of supporting all these other schools. We're moving. That's it. We're moving, and they called the SEC, and the rest is history.
Yep, that is true. All right, JC, enjoy watching.
Did you hear anything I just said, Q?
I heard it. I heard it all. I heard it all. I think all our listeners tuned out, but that's okay. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about your NFL team, one of your many that you have going to the Super Bowl. And now we're going to talk to the radio digital host of the Jaguars, our friend JP Shadrick. I'll let him tell you, JC, there's no way in hell they can win 7 games. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by JP Shadrick talking Jaguars. If you got any Jaguar questions, shoot them over to us. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Rap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Celebration Points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas Bass Pro Shops, Nike Les Macarons French Pastries, International Diamond Center, and the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline and head up to Jacksonville, and we're joined by our good friend, senior reporter, digital radio host of the Jaguars, JP Shadrick. Good morning, JP. How are you, bud?
Great, Shane. It's great to be back with you again. It's been a little while. There's been a lot going on here in Jacksonville in this offseason, but we're now, a little over 2 weeks away from kickoff weekend finally.
Yeah, and I know there was a lot of excitement there. And let me ask you this, with Urban coming in, having the first overall pick with Trevor Lawrence, I can't tell you because I'm in Jacksonville a couple times a week, and obviously in the Gainesville area, a lot of people love the Jaguars, and especially with Urban being there. There was so much excitement. Well, has that excitement gone down a level at all since the first two preseason games?
I don't feel it. Just going around town and getting out and about occasionally here in the city, it is not really waned at all. If you really follow the details of the team day to day, there have been some things the last couple of weeks that aren't so great. I mean, Travis Etienne is done for the year. That's not good news. So, and then Monday night, the starting offense didn't play well in preseason week 2. They didn't score a touchdown. They haven't scored a touchdown all preseason. So people are kind of nitpicking that. But in the big picture view of things, hey, they're in a good spot. Urban's starting to get things going, right? I mean, he's got the culture kind of in there that he wants, and he's got the quarterback now named the starter. So that's done deal. They've got a couple weeks to get that right. And on defense is going to be a whole new feel. So, yeah, it's positive. I mean, why wouldn't it be? I think at this point, they haven't even suited up for a regular season game yet, but they're gearing up. We're a couple weeks out. It is I don't feel like it's waned really at all, Shane. I think it's been pretty positive and pretty excited, at least the day after the regular season last year, because that's when everybody knew that the Jaguars had the number 1 pick and then Urban came in. So here we go, finally.
Well, again, the preseason means absolutely nothing, and guys can turn it on quickly in the National Football League, and you never know what's going to happen on Sundays. Dan has a question for you here, JP, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law. How are ticket sales going? Are they sold out, or how's that going?
Not sold out, but it is a very, very good off season. There are still some season tickets available, but we saw a boost right away, right after the Urban Meyer news. And, of course, getting close to the draft when the Trevor Lawrence stuff came along. So, and it's been fairly consistent since then, I'll say that. The best offseason this organization ever had was the 2018 offseason, going into that season, right after the AFC Championship game run in 2017. That was an all-time offseason for ticket sales, and they were off to a great start, of course, in 2018, 3-1 record. They just beat the Patriots, and things were going very well, and then all of a sudden they didn't in a real hurry. So this, I think, is not quite to that level yet, because that's going to be a really high level to reach. At some point, we can get there, I think, in the future. But we're right there. I mean, there's people excited about the team. Tickets are selling, yes. There's a good home slate this year, especially early in the season. So let's go do it. The sellout thing is going to be, I think they'll sell out a few games, especially if they're competitive toward the end of the year. That's when you really see a lot of those. And probably the home opener, week 2, Denver's Trevor Lawrence's first home game, and especially if the Jaguars win week 1 in Houston. So nothing officially sold out yet, but we're in good shape here, Shane.
Let's go back to the quarterbacks. Kind of a two-part question here. Were you surprised that, and we all know how Urban is, he loves competition, but Urban, I wanted to just say, look, this is the National Football League. You drafted this kid. He's a once-in-a-lifetime type player. Name him the starter day one. Were you surprised that he went through the, quote, competition until he named Trevor the starter? The second part of this question is, preseason games are hard to gauge, but C.J. Beathard's played pretty well late in the games against guys that are probably going to get cut. Is there a chance that he moves into that backup spot and the Jags try to move Gardner Minshew?
Let's start with the competition part of things, and you hit it right on the head. That's Urban Meyer in a nutshell, no matter the position. And let's rewind a little bit to when Urban showed up here. He had never met Gardner Minshew before. I'm sure he had read the headlines and seen a few games, right? But he never really had interacted with him, didn't know what to think about him. He knew Mike Leach. But then he got around Gardner Minshew and realized what kind of competitor he is and the way he goes about his business. And at the end result, sometimes may not be there on the field, but he goes through the right process and he really works hard at his craft. We'll give him that credit, right? So Urban said, hey, Gardner, we're going to give you a chance to work with the ones in training camp, and you're going to compete for the job, and I'll give you my word on that. So it gets to training camp time, and Trevor Lawrence, of course, is here. And that's what they do. They basically split first-team reps all the way through training camp and really through last week, going into Monday Night Football on Monday. And then, of course, and then Urban comes out later. This was kind of the week. After a couple weeks of that, then you really have to start making the rubber hit the road and get to business. Get your quarterback established. That way you have 3 full weeks to get ready for week 1. So that's why the competition. I think it was a good thing for both guys. But in reality, you could tell pretty quickly in the game. Certainly there's some throws that Trevor makes that some guys just can't make that are on the Jaguars right now. In terms of the C.J. Beathard thing, you're right. He has looked good. The numbers are fantastic. I think Gardner's outplayed him in practice a lot of times. But then when it comes to game time, Beathard goes in there and he completes balls and he throws the ball down the field. He's been in the league for a handful of years now. He kind of gets it. So I think that's the competition now. Who is the true backup for this team? Beathard has a good shot at it, I think. Obviously, they gave him like $2.7 million guaranteed dollars. So he's got that on his side. Gardner's got a smaller contract on his side. May the best man win, and we might have to find that out Sunday in Dallas in week 3.
At Chris Storing Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Storing Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with JP Shadrick, who does all the radio digital shows over there for the Jaguars. We're talking to him on the Titan More hotline. All right, let's talk about the offensive line. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't follow the NFL that closely, but didn't they bring back all 5 starters from last year's team where, the so-called experts said that they weren't a great offensive line? Were you surprised they didn't make any movements there? I know they drafted the big kid out of Stanford, a left tackle. But can this offensive line play well enough to help Trevor Lawrence?
Well, you're right, Shane. They brought all 5 guys back. Cam Robinson is on a franchise tag deal, a 1-year guaranteed deal of $13.7 million at left tackle. The left guard is Andrew Norwell, who's been in the league for a long time. He played for Urban at Ohio State. He's one of the highest paid guards in the NFL. Brandon Linder is the center. He's one of the highest paid centers in the NFL. Wow. A.J. Can, the right guard, is on his second contract with the Jaguars, a draft pick here. And then Juwan Taylor, of course, is the right tackle, and he's got a little bit of work to do. They ran the football effectively last year when everybody knew they were going to run the football because they couldn't do anything else. James Robinson had a great season on the ground. Those guys were a big reason why. They had some injuries, though. I mean, Brandon Linder didn't play a full season, so Tyler Shatley, again, had to get a bunch of starts. He's almost Mr. Jaguar. I think he's been here for 8 years. He started as an undrafted guy, so he's a backup center and guard, and he's got a lot of time there. They've got Ben Barch as well. They drafted last year from St. John's, a D3 school in Minnesota. He's a project, but they like what he's done this training camp. It feels like he might have solidified himself at least as part of whatever that rotation could be as the swing guy. And then, as you said, Walker Little is the left tackle they brought in from Stanford, who hasn't played in 2 years. He hurt his knee in week 1 of the 2019 season, missed that whole year, and then opted out last season when the Pac-12 couldn't figure out what they were doing with a college football season just to get ready for the draft. So right now there's a few guys nicked up. Cam Robinson turned his ankle last week before the game. He was back in the practice field yesterday. Andrew Norwell is battling a minor elbow issue. He ought to be ready for week 1. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then Brandon Linder has a slight knee issue. They're holding those guys back because they're vets. They brought back the coach, too, George Warhop. Now, Warhop has a connection with Urban. They played together at the University of Cincinnati. That's how long ago they go back. So there's that connection to keep Warhop here. They like the running game. They got to get better in the passing game. But make no mistake, a lot of people think, hey, this is going to be a throw-it-around offense, and they're going to spread things out, and they're going to throw it all up. They're going to run the ball. I mean, they're going to be balanced at best, and they might run it more than they throw it because that's what they do well in the offensive line. And that's what can help Trevor if things aren't going well or if he's missing some weapons. If ETN's gone, which he is for the year, if a guy's nicked up on the outside, run the football, baby. And that'll help a young quarterback move along.
JP, when you look at their offense, obviously it's been very stagnant the first two games. Hard to watch. Trevor Lawrence is a very athletic guy. I think he can run better than most people think. Obviously, you don't want to make a living in that league running your quarterback. But Bevel was out at Seattle for those years with Russell Wilson, and they were pretty dynamic on offense. Do you think once the regular season rolls around, we may see more, I don't want to say design runs, zone reads or what have you, but I feel like that will help the entire offense if he's able to run the football a little bit.
If you show it a time or two and just let people know it's there. Right. They haven't shown that yet in the preseason. I'm a little surprised that they haven't, but they just want to get into the regular season. I kind of get that part too. And you're right. He does have the wheels to do it. I don't think you want to make a living off that because there are other guys you pay to do that here that are wearing numbers in the 20s, right? Running backs can handle most of the load there. But if you just show it a little bit, that could be a little bit of difference, or maybe open it up for somebody else inside. But you got to be very, very, very careful with that. And I think in time, in time he'll probably put on a little bit of weight. He is still pretty slender. He's big. He's broad shoulders. He's a tall guy. Trevor, we're talking about. In time, I think he's going to put on a little weight, get in that weight room a little bit, and maybe fill out a little bit more. It's a piece of this game, of his game, I think we haven't seen yet, but I think it will be there. And it's funny, everybody up here, or not everybody, if you listen to talk radio up here, there are fans after the game on Tuesday that wanted to get rid of Darrell Bevel. I'm like, that's 2 preseason games. You kidding me? They haven't shown anything yet. They're not going to show much of anything at all. All you want to see is Trevor, can he see it? And can he make certain throws? It'd be nice to score a touchdown this week. I'll give you that. But they haven't done that yet, and that's a goal of theirs, and that makes sense. But you don't have to be the greatest show on turf Rams. You just don't. It's preseason week 2. It's going to be a process. So my whole thing is just tap the brakes a little bit. The quarterback gets it. The quarterback has the arm. He's working through some rookie things, and they're going to be okay in time. Just give it some time.
Yeah. Let's switch over to the defense side of the ball before we let you go. Jack struggled mightily on that side of the ball last year, and you watch every game. Do you think they've improved on the defensive side of the ball so far?
Well, they can't get much worse, Shane. I mean, they couldn't stop the run last year. It was 31st in the league against the run, and if you're doing that, forget it. There's no way. I mean, if teams are just handing it off right up the middle on you and no fear, and if they have a 2-touchdown lead, which a lot of times they did right away, forget it. Game over. So they went out in free agency and made it a priority to go get guys. They got Roy Robertson-Harris from Chicago, big defensive end type. They got Jihad Ward from Baltimore, who's been around the league a few different places, but he's a guy that can kind of get some rush from the interior. They got Malcolm Brown from the Saints, big nose tackle who won a couple Super Bowls in New England, to kind of shore up the middle of that defensive line. They switched to a 3-4 defense on the depth chart. They're going to be multiple and do a few different things. They still have Josh Allen, of course. Caleb Chason is not a big thumper. He's more of a pass rusher. Then they got Miles Jack in the middle at linebacker. They've got Damian Wilson in free agency from Kansas City, another big thumper at linebacker in the middle. They like the middle of that defense right now because of the line and the linebackers. So you got to start with that. And then they revamped the entire secondary. CJ Henderson's the only guy back that is in the JP Shadrick projected starting lineup at secondary this year. And he has had some stuff off the field this training camp and off season. So who knows his status right now, but he's still out there practicing and playing. But your hope was he would be a starter. They brought in 4 other guys, at least free agency draft picks that could probably start and might start on week 1. So 4 out of the 5 starting secondary guys will be new this year. So it's a whole new look, new defensive coordinator who's never called plays in the league before. He's been in the league for 15 years. I don't know what it's going to look like because the same thing, Shane. They haven't shown a lot. They're going to do a lot of different things, bring different packages, throw in a dime package, bring an extra safety in maybe to play that linebacker spot. They're going to put a bunch of dudes on the line to pass rush at times. They're going to come from different places. That's a lot of change in 1 year, and I'm excited to see it in actual real games starting week 1.
In your crystal ball, how many games you think the Jags win this year?
They were 1-15 last year, Shane, and they're on a 15-game losing streak right now. So I think a really good turn, a start to this thing for Urban Meyer and the crew is 7 to 8 wins. I mean, that is considering.
You think they can win that many games?
I think they can. I think 7's a good one. 7 and 10. From 1-15, with all the new going on, there will be some bumps in the road. I'd love for them to win 10 and lose 7. I think that would be great. But in reality, that is a huge turn. And Urban's not making this a 5-year plan. He wants to win now. He's said that a few times this offseason. They better get some wins early, though, Shane, because the schedule around mid-season, the team goes to London, then they come back, then they have an off week, then they're going to Seattle, 2 West Coast road trips this year. There's like 4 out of 5 weeks sometime in November, December that they're away from here in crunch time. So that's a lot to ask, especially for a young football team. So if they get some wins early and maybe gain some confidence, maybe the ball bounces away a couple times middle of the season and you get 8, 9, that would be huge. I think it's more 7 right now.
Yeah, I hope they win 7. I don't see how it can happen. But we'll see. Let me ask you this last question because Urban, everywhere he coached in college ball, he talked about having one of the fastest teams in the country. Well, I know when he first got there, he talked about how he wanted to be fast, the fastest team in the league. Well, everybody in the NFL is fast. How does this team at the skill positions or maybe just overall team speed look to you?
It looks faster. I mean, now it was much faster when Travis Etienne was on the field. Now that will be a blow because he was expected to line up all over this offense and then in 2 or 3 steps be full speed and down the field and score from anywhere. That is a loss with a Liz Frank injury in his left foot, so he's done for the year on injured reserve. What they do in that role, I don't know. I don't know if you can find that guy. It's too late. Those guys are signed elsewhere, and teams don't give those kind of guys up. So they might have to revamp what their thoughts were about that idea of a position, a guy moving everywhere. They may not have that anymore. They've got some wide receiver speed. I mean, DJ Chark can get down the field. He's been out with a finger injury in the last few weeks, but he should be back in week 1. Laviska Shenault's not a burner. He's just a big, strong, he can line up in the backfield if he wants, and he has. He's a big wide receiver who's physical and all that. So I think they brought in some other guys too. Tavon Austin was one of those guys, but he went down on the practice field yesterday too. They thought, there were some injuries at wide receiver early. They brought him in. He's looked great in camp. He had a chance really to make this team. I don't know he's been in the league for a long time, but he went down. That's unfortunate. Philip Dorsett, they signed in free agency. They think he still has some wheels left. So they're faster. They were a lot faster last week than they are right now, which is a little scary going into the final preseason game. So where do you find that speed? I don't know if you find that kind of speed, but you can still upgrade certain things at this time of year too. They have the number one claim in the waiver process through week 3. And if if you can find a guy that can upgrade a position somehow, you're not going to go from 7 wins to 12 wins on the waiver claim process because there's a reason they're not on the other team to begin with. There's going to be some turnover here the next week because the last cut is coming up on Tuesday, and then the process starts the next day or so after that. There will be a lot of additions, I think. At least this is me thinking. I think they're going to be out there just scouring every roster they can to see if they can upgrade any position and go from there. But to answer your question, I think they were a lot faster last week than they are now. There's still a little work to be done after those injuries.
Yeah. Dan has one last question here for you, brought to you by Melton Law. Will the London game still happen with COVID?
It's on right now. Tickets are being sold in the UK. It's one of 2 games this year for the NFL. And the Jaguars are scheduled to go as part of the NFL plan. So they're going to play at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium instead of at Wembley this year. So it is an NFL game and not a Jaguars game. In the past at Wembley, the Jaguars had their own deal at Wembley Stadium. So they got the home gate for that game, basically. Now they're going as basically NFL ambassadors, if you will, for lack of a better term. NFL covers a lot more of the cost, and the split is different, and it's a Jaguars home game on the scoreboard, but it's not the same idea as it was at Wembley. But it's okay because the Jaguars still want to maintain a presence in the marketplace. They've had that for 8 years, 7 years now. We have full-time staff in London doing some things in the off season there. We've had that for a number of years. So it's still on the plan. We'll see. I don't know if there's a drop-dead date where they say, hey, we have to cancel this. And then if they do, for some reason, it'll be right here in Jacksonville against the Dolphins. So that's the backup plan. They always have a backup plan for that game in London just in case. As of right now, it's still on. We haven't heard anything otherwise. And, if for some reason things change in the UK or in our area here, that can always change. But so far, I haven't converted money into pounds yet, but we're getting close here, Shane.
Good stuff as always, JP. Let everybody know if they want to listen to all your Jaguar talk, how they can tune in.
Yeah, Jaguars.com. We have programming pretty much every day of the week, Monday through Friday. The official Jaguars podcast network as well. We've got all the shows that are archived there, interviews, behind-the-scenes access. And then, of course, Sunday we'll be on with pregame radio at 10 o'clock. The Jags play at 1 o'clock Sunday in Dallas. And we'll have network coverage starting at noon. And then 2 hours of postgame. Fred Taylor's on there with us on the postgame show most weeks. So it's a lot, and it's fun, and it's a blast. This is the good time. Everybody's excited. Everybody's no wins, no losses, and full of optimism. So check out Jaguars.com.
Definitely will do that. All right, JP, appreciate you taking the time. Be safe, and good luck to the Jags.
Oh, good luck to you. Always good to visit with you, Shane. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. That's JP Shadrick. Join us on the Titan MRI hotline. We're going to take our final time out, come back, and wrap up this Friday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Melton Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Haver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Hope you enjoyed today's program. I want to appreciate JC and J.P. Shadrick joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Hey, folks, have a great weekend. Enjoy the college football. Next week, we kick it off, Gator Game Week. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe. Take care.